All right.
Hello and welcome, everyone. We are Dark Horse Comics. Dark Horse Comics back with new comic book day after a short break. We did take a break for the winter to kind of regroup, and we're testing out some new things, including being live on YouTube as well as Twitch, which is a bit newer for us. We had previously just been streaming on Twitch. So hello to all our YouTube viewers as well. We usually do a Wednesday stream just like this at approximately 1 p.m. Pacific time to run through all of the new releases from Dark Horse that are out on Wednesdays at comic shops. So we'll be doing a bit of that today, and we'll also run through some of our recent news and announcements and just let you know kind of in general what's going on from Dark Horse Comics. My name is Kara. I work at Dark Horse as the Director of Marketing Communications, and you'll usually see me on these streams. So hello and nice to meet our new viewers. And with me today is my colleague Gary, and I'm going to let Gary introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I work in IT services for Dark Horse, and so it's wonderful to be with you and be back to streaming after our winter break, as it were. And I'm really happy to celebrate our 2-year anniversary of streaming, since we've been doing this since the pandemic began. So really happy that we're continuing to expand and finding new ways to reach all our favorite audiences.
Exactly. Yeah, we did begin streaming as we went home for lockdown back in March of about 2020, and here we are still today. Continuing to do this from home, and these virtual, opportunities. We often have special guests join us, such as voice actors who do live readings for things like our Legend of Korra comics, which you may have seen, as well as comics creators, special guests who join us to talk about their comics, which we'll have some more of those special guest streams coming up later this month. So stay tuned. In fact, next week, we will have some guests from Unique Studios back with us live. We'll announce more details of that very soon. And then coming up later this month, we'll have some more special guests, which I'm excited to reveal, probably coming up at the end of this week. So stay tuned. Today, though, like I said, will be the new comic book day rundown. We're going to go through a few of our recent announcements, which you can see all of at darkhorse.com on our blog, which is the news feed. Also, you can access it from the homepage, darkhorse.com/blog. If you'd like to jump straight there, all of our news and announcements goes here, as well as to all of our social media channels, where we are at Dark Horse Comics on all of the major channels: Twitter, obviously Twitch and YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and more. Those are the main ones, though. So with that said, everything we're going to talk about today is available at your local comic shop. Graphic novels also from bookstores. So if you are interested in anything that we talk about, you can get more information on our website, and you can go to your local comic shop. Comicshoplocator.com can help you find more shops near you if you don't have a regular shop. Bookstores, also, you can search for more of those at indiebound.org. We love to support our local shops if we can, and encourage you to do the same. So, Gary, I know we usually kind of recommend some of our favorite shops. Would you like to name a few of yours?
The shops I visit the most these days are our Things from Another World stores here in town. We've got one in Milwaukee and one out in Beaverton, and one down in Universal City for anyone in Southern California. But I'm also have enjoyed Excalibur Comics here in town, as well as Books with Pictures in terms of Portland shops. It's easy to feel spoiled in a town like Portland just because there's so many options, and inevitably can roll through Powell's and get a lot of nice graphic novel access, especially in the resale piles, which is nice. So a lot of great places to stop when I'm going out a few times these days.
Very true. We have kind of a glut of resources here in the Portland area. I know not everybody has comic shops near them, but a lot of places now do online orders as well. So if you are somewhere where you don't have a comic shop near you, Things from Another World, our partner, their website is tfaw.com. That's one where you can order comics from usually. I know Midtown Comics has online ordering, and a lot of the other bigger shops. Also international, of course. But yeah, with all that said, let's dive into some of our news and announcements and get to the new releases for you. So we've had a lot of news. Honestly, we have a lot of news all the time. We're announcing new books and all sorts of things pretty much constantly. So like I said, if you're interested in finding out what's coming up from Dark Horse, I highly suggest you keep our blog maybe bookmarked or follow our social media closely because we have new stuff every day. We're just kind of showing a variety of our new and recent announcements. We've had many things come up lately, including what I think is one of the biggest, which is Berserk, Volume 41. We revealed that will be coming out in November. Our English translation from Dark Horse Manga. This contains Kentaro Miura's final work on the series. I cannot say for sure if this is the final volume. I know a lot of people are interpreting that way. However, that will be up to Hakusensha, the Japanese publisher, of course. But we are honored to once again present Miura Sensei's work. And I think you will enjoy the final edition of Volume 41. We have announced the standard paperback. We don't have any news yet on any other editions that may come. If and when we do, though, as I said, we'll announce that through our blog, on our websites, and all our social media so that you are sure to know. But Volume 41 is available for pre-order now. We have also had quite a lot of Mike Mignola verse news. New Young Hellboy was just announced yesterday. Those are really fun, kind of young adults, pulp adventures following Hellboy when he was a kid, growing up with the professor. So those are fun. We have a lot of other Mignolaverse and Outerverse titles as well, which I encourage you to check out. And many other news items on our news feed right now. I cannot possibly cover them all, but for fans of The Witcher, for example, we do have a lot of Witcher news that we've released recently. First of all, if you're familiar with The Witcher and CD Projekt Red, you may have seen that they did a Kickstarter last year to fund a manga. Actually, they did a manga take on The Witcher. So that is called Witcher Ronin. It was successfully funded. And so the Kickstarter versions went out to all the backers just recently. But we were excited to partner with our friends at CD Projekt once again to present an edition that will be available widely at comic shops and bookstores. That'll be coming up later this year, also November, and it features a brand new cover from Jen Bartel. So that's pretty cool. We also have a new Witcher Library Edition just announced. For those who are not familiar, library editions are the Dark Horse, like big oversized hardcovers that collect several of the graphic novels in one volume. So there has already been Witcher Volume 1 Library Edition, which included previous comic series. Now we have enough additional comic series out that we could combine them into a new library edition. So Volume 2 will be out this August, containing the 3 most recent series, and then also the new Free Comic Book Day story that came out last year. So that'll be a nice big hardcover collection. I don't have advances that I can show you here, but I know if you're not as familiar, a library edition for Dark Horse is a very large book. This is one example. This is actually the Nocturnals Omnibus Volume 1, which are library edition sized. So this is something that came out earlier this year. If you like Dan Brereton's art, this is available now, and Volume 2 will be out soon. But like I said, they're very large compared to like a standard graphic novel. This collects 3 of these usually in one. So quite a size difference. What else? We announced Organisms from an Ancient Cosmos, which is by S. Craig Zoller, who's actually the director of movies you might know. Bone Tomahawk, for example. So it's not his first graphic novel. He is also an artist. I believe this is his second original graphic novel, but we're excited to be publishing that. That'll be out later this year as well. We debuted the first series from our partnership with Scott Snyder and Best Jacket Press, digital first through Comixology, but we're doing print editions of We Have Demons. So We Have Demons #1 is out. We've collected a whole bunch of reviews. If you need extra incentive to pick it up, that is also on our newsfeed right now. Count Crowley also has a second series out now. Issue #1 just came out recently. That, of course, is the return of David Dastmalchian's beloved horror host send-up series. Really fun comics with amazing art by Lucas Kettner and Lauren Aff. David Dastmalchian, you would know as the actor who plays Polka Dot Man, for example. Also, he's in Dune. He's, kind of a rising force. So he's also an amazing comic book writer and a huge fan of horror hosts himself. So if you haven't checked out Count Crowley, I highly recommend it. And finally, before we move on to the new releases, if you don't follow our news that closely, You might at least have seen some of these from Netflix, but we do partner with Netflix on quite a few things. Of course, we are the publisher of all the comics based on Stranger Things. And the Stranger Things season 4 trailer just debuted yesterday. It looks really cool, I think. I don't have you watched it, Gary?
Yeah, we watched it yesterday and had to watch it. We watched it and finished it. Like, okay, there were so many questions we have in that. We're going to watch it right again and watch it again and then watch it with my daughter later. So many
Sure.
questions and new things and interesting aspects. And I didn't dive too much into a lot of the online analysis of it, but it's really cool to see how much is waiting for us and to see that there's 2 editions coming this year, which is exciting too.
Yeah, yeah. So they're splitting it into 2 halves, and the first half will premiere on May 27th. There'll be a little break, and then they'll release the second half of the season. It's really exciting for us to, kind of have that out there and support the new season because, of course, we do continue to publish all the comics, and with season 4 coming out into the world, then we can kind of reveal and talk about more of our series. We do have a new Stranger Things comic series going on right now. Actually, issue 1 just came out a couple of weeks ago for Kamchatka, which is a brand new series telling kind of the other side of the story, as a lot of our comics do, actually. Like, there's the show, and that encompasses the main storyline, but the comics enable folks to tell sort of the other perspectives and the other stories that you don't get to see on the live series. So yeah, season 4 trailer, if you haven't seen it yet, we do have that on our social media as well. And Netflix also revealed the trailer for Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles, which is an animated series based on Stan Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo comics. Of course, this is definitely more of a 3D animation style, kind of similar to the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, if you watch that, but it's geared towards kids. The main character is not Miyamoto Usagi. It's kind of like a younger protege of his. So it will be different, but I don't know, Gary, you've got kids. What did you think?
It looks good. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with it and how it's going to be. It definitely reminded me of the kinds of things my kids love about Avatar. And I'm really curious to see how that's going to play and what they're going to lean on for the series, because it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun in terms of there's so much story there. Yosaku Jimbo has so much amazing story that could be used for a show like this. So I'm really looking forward to how they're going to take all that history and have so many stories to tell and have so many backstory threads to follow. Yeah, and it looks good. I mean, just as the look of it, I pulled up the Dark Horse Entertainment announcement page for it just so we can see on stream what it looks like, just to give you an idea of what kind of art style they're going with, and it just looks fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, Stan Sakai is heavily involved with it, so do not doubt that.
Yeah.
I know that it looks quite different from the comics, but that was deliberate. My understanding is that Stan, thinks that he feels that each medium is certainly its own thing, and so they should each be somewhat different. Of course, all of the comics and all of the series, whichever way they have come about, whether it's based on a comic series or the other way around, they're all different adaptations of the material. But so yeah, we've got both of those new trailers. The release date for the Usagi Chronicles will be April 28th is when that will premiere on Netflix. We also have a premiere date and more character information for the Umbrella Academy season 3. So we're sharing all of those materials from Netflix as we get them. We've already seen most of the new characters. The Sparrow Academy, of course, makes its debut in season 3 alongside the more familiar Umbrella Academy characters. We also have that premiere date of June 22nd. If you haven't seen that yet, get ready. Umbrella Academy season 3, June 22nd. So those are the bigger entertainment news items. Anything else coming up, we'll be sure to share in all the usual places. Rex has apparently heard me speaking, and so here he is to make his appearance for all of his fans. This is Rex. For anyone who's new to the stream, he usually invades at some point. With that said, we can now move on to new releases, I think. Reminder, if you're just joining us, also, everything you're about to see is out today at comic shops. Visit comicshoplocator.com if you need help finding a store near you or to order online. Books, of course, will be available from bookstores and anywhere you normally buy books. So the biggest news for today, no, you can go over here, Rex. Now that I am covered in his hair also. The biggest news for today is we do have a new series debuting, and that is Breakout. So Breakout #1, you saw the trailer for the series ahead of this. We'll play it again near the end of the stream. But yeah, brand new series out today. It's a sci-fi series. When massive cube spaceships from another dimension materialize over all throughout the globe, over all the cities all over the world, they start routinely abducting teenagers to be held inside their mysterious floating prisons. So for some reason, they are specifically targeting teenagers. Liam Watt is one of our main characters. His own younger brother, Tommy, is taken. But governments and adults and everyone they try to talk to are just kind of accepting the loss. And so Liam gathers a bunch of his friends, and they kind of go on a take back our future sort of anthem. So he assembles a team of his friends basically from high school to try and break out all of those kids that have been kidnapped. So it's kind of a twist on a sci-fi prison break, and it's a lot of fun. Zach Kaplan is the writer of this. He's also working on other series you might know, Port of Earth and Join the Future. Follow him on social media for lots more news and behind the scenes peeks. I believe he's doing a couple of comic store signings today too, if you're in California. The art on this is by Wilton Santos. You might know him from Excalibur or Dawn of X. Colors by Jason Wordie, who colors all sorts of things, God Country, Wasted Space, etc. Main cover is by Adam Gorham. And this one, this first issue, has a variant cover by Raphael Albuquerque. So Breakout #1 is out today, starting a new mini series. Check it out. And we'll have the trailer again near the end of the stream.
Sweet. Jumping from Breakout, we go right to issue 5, the last issue in this miniseries of Daisy. Our synopsis reads: Daisy fights alone against creation itself. Failure will imprison her in the creator's hellish realm. The world will serve out eternity on its knees, punished for the chaos and despair endowed by the Maker, and tortured for the light of hope that burns within. Armored with nothing but the language of creation and the truth, only Daisy can break the shackles of the world's bondage, unwrite what is written, and write a better tomorrow. This series by Colin Lorimer with colors by Joana Lafuente and letters by Jim Campbell.
Yeah, this series has amazing art. It is definitely a horror series. If you couldn't tell, the title is kind of unassuming, but I love it. I think it's fantastic. If you haven't checked it out yet, I recommend this highly. Amazing work. Colin is also quite active on social media too. So excuse me, if you would like to see some more kind of peeks behind the scenes at the artwork, he's a good follow as well. Next up in our new releases for today, we also have Norse Mythology Series 3, issue #3. So as with American Gods, if you are familiar with those comics, so Dark Horse also did the adaptation of Neil Gaiman's American Gods, and that came out in 3 different miniseries or arcs of 9 issues each, and then each of those was collected into a graphic novel and then in one giant collection. We're doing something similar with Norse mythology, so 3 parts once again, 3 series of 7 issues each in this case, and each issue for this series is actually done by different comics artists. So each short story within Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman is kind of handled by a different art team, which gives each one a different look and feel, which has been really cool. We've had folks work on different issues already, including Mike Mignola, Jill Thompson, David Rubin. So some amazing creators. All of it, of course, is adapted by P. Craig Russell, who we work with to adapt a lot of Neil Gaiman's works. This particular issue, I'm especially excited about because it features art by Colleen Duran, and she is phenomenal. She can, adapt to many different art styles. And if you haven't seen it already, Chivalry just recently came out. That's Colleen entirely doing another graphic novel adaptation of Neil Gaiman's short story Chivalry. She did that one in like a medieval manuscript style. Really beautiful artwork. If you have not seen it, it's all over our website and social media. Highly recommend it if you're a fan of Neil Gaiman, and her artwork is just stunning. They also partnered on Snow Glass Apples, which came out a couple of years ago and won an Eisner Award. Different art style, amazing art though. That one is pretty dark, definitely for adults. And then previously, actually, they had also collaborated on Troll Bridge, which is more of a kid-friendly story. Yet again, another different art style from Colleen, but she's so diverse and they're a great team. So this issue, of course, we had to bring her in for at least one issue of Norse mythology. Each issue, as I said, kind of tells a different one of the myths retold by Neil Gaiman in his book. So in this issue, we have the death of Balder, his dreams of the world's end, and Hermod's epic quest to bring him back from hell. Layouts and everything, of course, main cover art by P. Craig Russell, letters on the series mostly by Galen Showman, true in this issue, and variant covers for the whole series are done by David Mack. So whether you collect them all or you really like David Mack's covers, either or, you can get both versions of this issue at comic shops today. And if you haven't picked it up yet, volumes 1 and 2 are out now, collecting the first 2 arcs. So this third series continues on in single issues first.
Jumping from the classic of Norse mythology, which is such an amazing series, I want all of the covers just as a huge wall of artwork.
One giant poster.
Yeah, let's just get them all, put them together. Heading over to another series we've got running, getting into Last Flight Out. We're here at another last issue in the series. So issue number 6, here we are. This is it, the final chapter in the critically acclaimed action-packed series. With all hope lost, Ben, Sarah, and Alex must risk everything. Plus, what secret has Sarah been keeping from her father? One of our quotes from Kaboom Geeks is that Last Flight Out contains all the action of a summer blockbuster and a message that is timely without being preachy. Backed by solid artwork, this one is one flight you won't want to miss. It's this series by Mark Guggenheim, Eduardo Firigato, Natalie Marquez, and Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, that one is very action-packed. I think it's been kind of a sleeper hit too. I'm glad that people have been enjoying it and it's been getting, a good following at comic shops. So this is the last issue, as Gary said. So collection will follow. Stay tuned for that. I believe it's up for pre-order now on our website. And we also, I mentioned we have a lot of new Mike Mignola work coming up, actually kind of all the time. So this week we have part 2 of 2. It's a short story, 2 issues only, but a brand new character who came from the pages of Mike Mignola's quarantine sketchbook. If you missed that, during the beginning, of the pandemic lockdown, Mike Mignola was spending a lot of his time doing sketches, and they're of all sorts of things, like characters he just made up. He started doing characters recommended by other people, of like pop culture characters, like cereal mascots, chess pieces, all kinds of things, vegetables. At one point, there were definitely like evil Mike Mignola vegetable people. One of them was Radio Spaceman, and that kind of evolved into, it captured his imagination, and he decided to make an actual character out of this sketch. And so Radio Spaceman, Mission to Numa 4 is the actual title of this 2-part comic series. We'll see. Perhaps there will be more to come, but it's really fun. It has nothing to do with anything else. You don't have to have read any other Mike Mignola or Hellboy or anything to get it. It's just a fun sci-fi steampunk kind of style action-packed comic featuring this interesting new character, Radio Spaceman. The artwork on this, it's written by Mike Mignola, art by Greg Hinkle, colors by Dave Stewart, and letters by Clem Robbins, some of the usual Mignola-verse suspects. Greg Hinkle's art, you can see on the cover here too, is fantastic fit for this. The storyline in this particular one, as I said, this is part 2 of 2. So the horrors at the mysterious temple escalate as Gargoom makes his presence known. Radio Spaceman and the formerly captured doctor attempt to make their escape, but an unexpected third party has emerged from the wreckage of the crash that began their adventure. So if you like Mike Mignola's storytelling and just kind of a fun, pulpy sci-fi adventure that stands alone and can be like a quick read for you, definitely check out Radio Spaceman, issue 2, out today.
It looks like a lot of fun, and I just love that he got the idea and just ran with it. It's like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like, what a fun pressure valve side. Yay for new things being created in such a weird time.
Totally random and just evolved into something really fun. So good for them for making this a reality.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got looks like our first trade paperback, which will be our first graphic novel collection of this title. Errand Boys is coming out with its trade paperback today. In the future, a decent job is hard to find, especially if you're a hard-worn scoundrel with commitment issues. Jace is a lifelong solo act running dangerous errands for the most questionable of clients. But when his 13-year-old half-human half-brother comes to live with him, he's got two mouths to feed. Between evading the law, running from aliens, and jumping off skyscrapers, the only thing weirder than the vastness of space is family. And this one will collect the entire run of the comic book series Errand Boys for the first time in print. So excited to see this one come to fruition. This one's by DJ Kirkbride, Nikos Koutsis, and Frank Betovic.
A letterer we work with more and more, actually. So yeah, this team, this series actually came out previously, I believe, through Image, but Dark Horse was able to put the full collection together for them. I know DJ Kirkbride is super excited about it. I believe he's doing some signings at comic shops today too. So Errand Boys, brand new, first time collected, pretty exciting. You can pick that up at comic shops and soon in bookstores as well. And then we have one more single issue out today also, another Mignolaverse title. Regular viewers know I am a big fan of all things Mike Mignola. So both Sword of Hyperborea, which I'm about to tell you about, and Radio Spaceman are two of my top picks for this week, definitely. The Sword of Hyperborea is a Hellboy universe title. This mini series actually it literally follows the sword itself. The artifact, the Sword of Hyperborea, yes, of course, it's kind of a nod to Conan universe, but this is the Sword of Hyperborea that appears in the pages of Hellboy. And this miniseries focuses on it because it has basically kind of traveled through time. Like, it's been passed down from sword bearers to sword bearer, popping up in like random different places in history. And so this has been a really fun miniseries to explore the history of that sword and like who it's been with and what they've done with it before it ended up in the hands of the characters we know from, Hellboy and the BPRD. So this is issue number 4, which is actually the conclusion of the miniseries. In this issue, the Sword of Hyperborea appears in the unlikely possession of an up-and-coming blues musician in Chicago, 1952. Even for a talented musician, Elijah Bone is a little different, and the strange voice that whispers to him has its own plans for him to fulfill. Delta blues, supernatural creatures, and secret societies collide in this conclusion of the Mignolaverse saga. So, like I said, this is a fun series. I think it might help if you have the context of the greater Hellboy universe, but I don't think you need to. I think this series can kind of stand alone, and it can just be an interesting read, maybe an introduction to those who want to learn more about where this sword has been and who these other characters are who have wielded it over time. It is written, of course, by Mike Mignola and Rob Williams, with art by Lawrence Campbell, who's a frequent Mignolaverse contributor. Fantastic artwork. Quentin Winter is one of the colorists, along with Dave Stewart, as usual. Clem Robbins, once again, on letters. And we have a cool variant cover that I love, showing the sword in the guitar case by Bizarre Gomez. So, like I said, this is the conclusion, final issue in the mini-series of the Sword of Hyperborea. If you haven't started reading it yet, you might be able to get all 4 issues at your comic shop today. But that actually rounds out our new releases for this week. So we have several single issues and the graphic novel that Gary highlighted there, Errand Boys. And that's it from Dark Horse for this week. Reminder that everything we mentioned can be found at comic shops, comicshoplocator.com, if you need help finding more shops near you. If you want to see more, you can actually get preview pages of each title generally on our website. So again, darkhorse.com for that. Just look up the new releases are highlighted on our homepage. And also news and announcements are highlighted there too. So we kind of ran through a few at the top of this stream, but there's so many more that I could not possibly cover in one stream. see all the other news and announcements, from Berserk to new Mignolaverse titles to today. Actually, we announced a whole huge imprint with Matt Kint at Dark Horse Comics coming up soon. You can see all of that news collected on our website, on our social media. The Matt Kint imprint, actually, while I'm talking about it, will be called Flux House, Flux Flux House books. And so kind of like Berger Books at Dark Horse, which is curated by Karen Berger, or Best Jacket Press, which is Scott Snyder, or Jinx World, of course, with Brian Michael Bendis. This is now a Matt Kint specific imprint. So new Matt Kint titles, starting with the new Mind Management. Get all the details, IGN.com, and now on our website. So see that and lots more news at darkhorse.com. Gary and I will continue to bring you more new streams coming up in the future. Thanks for your patience as we took a winter break, as we're planning for lots more programming coming up starting this month. Thank you, Gary, for co-hosting with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's good to get back to it, and we'll be definitely, as Kara mentioned, expanding as many options as we can and reaching new channels and working on new shows in terms of a TV channel that we've got and a streaming channel. So look for that as we are able to add new content.
Thank you, and hello and welcome to those who are watching on YouTube. As Gary mentioned, that's something we're expanding into, kind of multicasting. We've been on Twitch for a while now, but we didn't want to neglect our YouTube channel, which we've had for much longer than Twitch, of course, but this live streaming to YouTube is a bit newer for Dark Horse. We may also expand to other social media channels too. If you use one or more and would be interested in seeing us live stream to it, actually let us know in the comments. Always happy to have your feedback. So let us know. And as I said, we'll have new guests joining us for streams coming up later this month. In fact, stay tuned for more details coming very soon on all of that. Unique Studios will be back next week for starters. So we'll announce the details of that shortly. And other than that, we'll see you all next week back at Wednesday when we stream again with Unique in this case, but same time, a little bit earlier for the Unique folks, because we have people in many different time zones. So stay tuned for the exact details. Other than that, we generally stream Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. So more of that to come, probably more of Gary's beautiful beard and my face too. But yes, much more to come from Dark Horse. Thank you again, Gary. And
My
thank
pleasure.
you. Yeah. Thank you again to our viewers, and we will sign off until next time.
Have a great one, everyone.